And welcome back to Comic Book Wednesdays, a weekly series where we discuss comic books. We're your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
And I'm Shane.
All right, we're back with Superior Spider-Man. Um, I believe we started with 25 today. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
believe so.
Yep.
Yeah, 25, 26, and 27. So, um, first initial thoughts. 25 was a little longer. What are you guys thinking?
For me personally, they kind of went through some stuff quicker than I would have liked them to.
Okay, okay, that's
Like
fair.
issues were good, but like some parts that I wanted them to expand on, they just kind of sped through, and it was a little difficult.
Okay, hold on to that thought, Al. What did you think?
Uh, I enjoyed it. I have some stuff I'm wondering about. Like with the cop and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was well done. I'm enjoying it.
Sure. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm also enjoying it. I really love these issues, and of course, I've read this before, but having
Mm.
going through it again, and it's been a minute, since I've done it. Um, it's just nice to see like when Peter came back. Those type of moments, I really enjoyed those moments.
Yeah, they were
Um,
awesome.
also, just all of the Venom stuff, really cool. And I thought that they went about a clever way, trying for Pete to like say like, "Oh, I was infected with the symbiote the whole time," blah blah blah. Like that's how I went through it. Like I thought he was clever of doing that, even though it was kind of chock full of holes. Now, I want to go back to you, Shane, because I feel like I know what you're gonna say. So I hope this
Mm-hmm.
transitions well.
Of course.
Go ahead, just talk about
No,
it.
all good.
Let's hear what you have.
So, issue 25, when we had like Venom and the Avengers coming in, like
Uh-huh.
that was really cool. I really enjoyed that entire sequence. And especially when Cap was like, "No, no, no! Like this shouldn't be this isn't the correct person." Like, it, and he called Iron Man, and he was like, "Yeah, you got to go get him. Like, this will all be fixed, no problem." And there's some echoes here of Civil War and stuff like that, which I thought were really neat. But like when there was one, the first part where it kind of got me was actually in this issue was let me see if I have a note for it. Yeah, where he was just like, we're he's talking to the symbiote, and he's just like, you can come back to me, he can't force you to stay, and he's like, you used chemicals, controlled me, now I'm in the control, better, stronger, faster, superior. And yet in the next, and it made me think that that was the symbiote itself talking, and then in the next panel he's able to subdue it and get control of it, and everything's back to normal.
Well, yeah. So
I
the
was a little
symbiote
confused
is
there.
the symbiote's stronger than Otto in his will. So the symbiote's in full control there. What happens then is Pete's consciousness shows up, and he subdues it because Peter Parker is stronger than the symbiote.
Mm, okay.
So that's how that happens. And when he subdues it, it then goes back to Flash.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was a little confused
Yeah, I
for a
feel like they
moment
didn't
there.
they didn't explain that very well in the comic. At
No.
least from my eyes, I was kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah, and all anytime you have like a battle sequence in a comic book, the panels are a little jumbled. Um, so that's kind of what you're also experiencing there. I'm thinking, just like kind of a mess, you know.
Yeah.
No, it does make sense.
But yeah, no, I kind of get where you're going, and I kind of thought maybe you were gonna lean more towards like the Avengers, like kind of just giving up on their investigation. Like as soon
Oh,
as
I was
he's
going through it issue by issue, but that was also one of the biggest ones of like, the Avengers wanting to know what was going on, and Otto tried to play it off super cool. Sorry to interrupt you. I just got excited.
No, you're fine.
Like Otto's trying to play it off super cool and was like, "Yes, the symbiote's been infecting me for months," and they were like, "Really?" And Flash is like, "Well, that's technically possible, but that also doesn't make a whole lot of sense."
Yeah, I
Also,
like.
the thing that bothered me about that scene was that back when they drew his blood and all that stuff, he was like, "Yeah, thank God Tony's not here because he would have found this." And then he didn't find it. Whatever it was, I can't remember what it was, but you know what I mean? It was just kind of like,
It's because
really?
all his blood work was gone. Everything was gone.
Oh,
He
yeah, that's right. He erased it. I
he
forgot about
erased
that.
all the information, and which is then Tony then looks at a secret camera that he had installed that nobody knew about, and that's the only reason he found out that Spider-Man deleted the medical records.
Right.
That makes yeah. But him like jumping out of the window and being like, then I guess I'll just leave. And the
I
Avengers were like, there he goes.
Yeah,
Damn.
like he's like, why
Heck.
are you looking into me after I've done all these things now? He's like, well, you're an Avenger now. He's like, well, then I quit the Avengers. And the Avengers are just like, oh, all right, I guess our hands are tied. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weak, though. I have to say that issue, all of the art when Peter is talking to the Avengers, and when Otto Peter, is talking to the Avengers, and then also everything in the Mindscape that you see, all the flashback stuff, that art is like it's so crisp and it feels very retro, and I really like it.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then anything that has to do with the Goblin looked like it had different art, and I didn't know if I necessarily enjoyed that as much. Um,
That speaking of the Goblin, that scene where it shows the one person being affected by the Goblin serum and welcome to our clan, and like you look at her, you're like, you look more like an insect than you do a goblin.
Yeah, it has a weird effect on her. She's got like the scaly stuff, and the eyes are almost
Yeah.
like insect eyes.
Did she
Will
just, like,
she
in-
ever recover from that, or is that like now she's a goblin person?
I have no clue, to be honest.
That is a good point.
That'd be kind of tragic.
Yeah.
But I kind of like though, like when you have stakes like that. It's not something you really see in comic books a lot. So let's see if she comes back from that or not. Um, just another thing, we're kind of all over the place, but no big deal. The third issue there that we read, issue number 27, there was a time skip. Was it 3 months? Or was it only a couple days? But there was a
No, I
time
believe
skip.
it was 3 months.
Yeah. What was Yori doing all that time? She's supposed to be investigating like her police friend being missing, and 3 months goes by, and she's just now talking to Sanji, Peter Parker's coworker or co-founder of Parker Industries. It's like,
Right.
why are you just now trying to get to Peter? It's been 3 months. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's kind of shoddy, and like I honestly thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, well, where's your CEO? And they're like, we have no idea. I'm like, well, I don't believe you. And they were like, I don't care what you believe.
Meanwhile,
It was
he's
like-
in his living room. Like, he's
Yeah.
home. Like, what?
Just go knock on his door. You'll find him.
And I love how she was like, we're going to make sure that officers are stationed here because he's a person of interest. And they were like, great. If he survives what we're going to do to him, you can have the leftovers.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it doesn't really. And he even told his girlfriend, he's like, yeah, and she's even like, you just became the head of a major company and no one has seen you. And he's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I got stuff to do. And he's just like, I could just make you my second. And she's like, but, you should probably get that okayed with people. And he's just like, no, you're the most important person. You can just do it. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it's typical Otto. He just his give a fuck is kind of broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, it's like he's so focused on one thing, he doesn't know how to like not be focused on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, he's finally catching up. Like the Goblin is, he's figured out that the Goblin has been eluding him. So Green Goblin and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of Green Goblin, he kind of like has a complete hold on the city now. He like took over the Hobgoblins network of crime, even though the Hobgoblin's not really dead. I feel like he's gone now. Like he's done with the story. Um,
Yeah, I kind of got the same uh, thought about that too, which kind of sucked, but
yeah,
he'll live on
but
to do another story later.
oh, absolutely. I really liked the conversation that Osborn Green Goblin has with Otto Octavius Spider Man.
Yeah.
Like he sits him down, he's talking, and he just calls him Otto, and he's like, he knows. How does he
How
know?
does he know?
It's
and
scary, spooky.
yeah. I also think it's kind of cool that like Pete's consciousness, he's got these core memories, and it's like you're in this scene with Goblin and Otto, and he tries to access the core memory of Gwen Stacy dying, and Pete's like, "Shit, I have to hide. Like he's gonna find me if I'm not like really like hidden down here, you know."
Yeah.
But to add to that, like just before they do that scene, Pete's talking about how like he's like, no, he didn't make me weaker. He made me a crucible. He basically burned me down to my primal memories, my core memories that made me who I am, who make And I was like, that's a really cool like he's got all his defining moments still in his head. So he's like, I can still be the best Spider-Man that I need to be. So
That
I
was a
really
really cool scene. I enjoyed
like
that.
like that a lot. Man, I don't.
Honestly, like him going through, like I still him going through Otto's memories and like jumping into Otto, where he's just like, no, I need to hold on to myself. Like he's going through like seeing Otto being born and all this kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and like that I thought was really interesting, but also to go back to the time skip. Um, and going back to the time skip, we have him going through this and like the goblins basically taking over the city. Like, was that all because they have like the goblins have been taking over everything? I feel like there could have been more explored there. Also, random, thank you to the person who just commented on us and telling us that they like it. Appreciate that.
Yes,
Ooh,
thank you very much.
thank you. Um, I got distracted by the like and the fun comment. Shane,
But yeah, that
reiterate
three
your question.
months
3 months.
3 months going by
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
the goblins taking over and things like that. I really feel like it could have been expanded upon that a little bit more.
I
Was that am I the only one thinking there? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I kind of agree with you. In scenes like that, I really like it when books like do flashbacks to fill in gaps. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what's missing from this issue. Maybe if they did this one a little larger, like they did 25, like it was like 33 ish or 33 pages in issue 25. If 27 was that long as well, and we kind of got to fill in the gap there, it probably would have felt a little bit more cohesive,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better word. Um, but it's not what we get, and I think there should be a little bit of fill in the gap there.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I kind of thought of, like going back to what I told you initially about how I felt about the issues. It's there could have been more expanded. I'm glad that we got what we did get. Like that is really nice. but there
Yeah.
definitely could have been more that like could have been expanded upon.
Absolutely, and I feel like what we're seeing here is a comic coming towards its end with, and
Hmm.
they're trying to wrap everything up. And sometimes wrapping things up can happen really naturally. And other times we have to rush things, and I think that's
Just
what
have to skip a couple of things and hope it
yeah.
all falls into place.
Some things might have hit the cutting room floor. Um,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
and I'm not saying it's made this a bad book at all. It just kind of could be a little better. But
Sure.
this is still one of my favorite Spider-Man books. Like it's so good. Um, I think that you see a lot of character progression as Otto, and you're gonna get a lot of that in these last. Like I think we have like 6 more issues.
Yeah, we got
Mhm.
two reads left of this one.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what becomes of Otto and Peter in one body. Like it's getting really
Mm.
good.
Oh, I'm glad. I feel like you've come like a whole like you flipped like 180 on us here because you
Yeah.
started off being like, I don't really like this, and now I
I,
feel
I
like
didn't I didn't at first. It was really Dr. Ick, that was the best explanation for it, and I really didn't enjoy the beginning of this book, but now that we've gotten to like the meat and potatoes of it, it's a fantastic book.
yeah, it's really good. There's a lot of like gray area as far as like him being a hero goes, like the moral aspect of it. Um, he's still trying to be Spider-Man. He's still trying to be a hero, but he can only do things a certain way. Just because his mind doesn't let him not be that way. So it's like, how are you're taking someone with a fucked up morality complex like Otto Octavius, and you're applying Spider-Man's core tenets like great power comes great responsibility, and you're getting this like egotistical, like tyrannical asshole that is still trying to do good. It's really like it's really weird. Oh, I didn't realize I left that goblin alive.
It's okay. She's sleeping now.
Um, yeah, like it's good storytelling. It's just
No, it is good storytelling. I'm like, I I am enjoying how it's progressing. One of the things that I really did like about this issue, to kind of go back to it, was Peter coming back, because I didn't know when we were going to see that again, and that just kind of caught me off guard, but in a really good way.
mhm,
And now I was kind of thinking the same thing that Al said of what are we going to see and how is this going to work.
right.
So I'm excited to see how this plays out, and whether
Like
or not
when
the Avengers kind of get their shit together, or if Peter's reputation is just permanently screwed.
well, it's like so like he's definitely hurting his reputation. But as far as the Avengers are concerned, and this specific storyline goes, I think they're done, which I think is a mistake because they just let him walk, and then the next issue is 3 months later. So it's like, okay, so you guys aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, now that I think about it, I have to wonder if they were doing the whole like, oh, we're gonna, the parent and the child routine, where they're just gonna be like, oh, fine, Spider-Man quit the Avengers. All right, this whole entire area is his problem. Nobody enter it, which is really dumb for the Avengers because I've never seen them be the type to just do that. Like that's some anti-hero shit.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
again,
just
like,
my opinion.
is it them being anti-heroes, or is it more like writing restrictions? Like, how much did Dan Slott want to add in there and couldn't?
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
That's a good point.
I don't know. And also, you guys, there's also like tie-in books to this that we're not reading. There are
Yeah,
like,
I saw there was a couple of them, and I was like, ooh, I could go read some of them, but didn't get a chance to.
yeah, I mean, there's like Superior Spider-Man team-ups. So it's like, I'd be curious to see how that goes, but maybe another time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and any other specific screenshots or notes, Shane, that we haven't touched on that you've taken that we should get
Let me
to?
check real quick.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Um. Oh, we did not touch on the assault on Spider Island being completely decimated, and how the goblins, like, everything was undetected, and all those
Yeah,
missiles coming in. Like, that was wild.
that was wild. His whole thing is completely gone, and it's funny. You're like, Otto's like, oh, I one upped you because I have a hologram here, you know. Um, and it what in Goblin, like attacked him with electricity after Otto was like, I'm gonna take you down, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah, I'm a hologram, bitch, and I'm gonna be up in this Spider Island. And then he's like, well, you forgot like the most important thing about having or being a villain, a secret layer. And he just attacks him straight up. Uh, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, like that's one thing I like about Otto. He's the smartest man in the room until he's not, and
That's so
he
true.
he kind of just gets fucked.
At every turn. Like,
Yeah.
there's no good luck where he is concerned.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, he's like, I'm doing all these badass things. I'm superior. Blah 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 blah. And then next thing you know, like somebody's just pushing his shit in. Um,
Yeah, he really doesn't like to be told no. Like, that kind of thing is one of his greatest downfalls.
oh, absolutely.
Like,
His
even
arrogance.
Goblin was like, I know your secret. We can work something out, Otto. Like, you don't have to be
Yeah,
dumb. Like, this doesn't have to be
yeah.
stupid.
You can
We
be
can
my
figure
number
this
two.
out. Yeah, and then as soon as he heard the word number two, nope, smashing the table, gonna be angry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that's when it all went downhill. Speaking of Goblin, there is a scene where the art shows his like caved in, scarred chest, and then like, oh my god, it really is the real Osborn. That's the scar from when the glider hit him in the chest. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That's such a cool image. And like I've read a lot of comic books, but I haven't read a ton of Spider-Man. I didn't realize that Sam Raimi like literally ripped that from the comic book. That's pretty cool.
A whole new appreciation for those movies.
Oh, absolutely. Uh,
Uh,
Speaking of
to
which, I
add,
didn't. Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Sorry.
Speaking of which, I didn't realize that originally Sam Raimi was supposed to give Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man web shooters, and even in the promotional, like the ads and stuff for the movie,
Mm-hmm.
he had web shooters on, and then they took it out the final draft of the movie.
No kidding.
Really?
Yeah, that's interesting. I realized that like last
Ah.
week or something like that. I was looking at stuff on the internet.
Huh, I
Wonder
didn't know
why
that.
they switched it to not having web shooters.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something I have to read up on. I'm sure there's an interview somewhere with Sam Raimi talking about it. But what were you gonna say, Shane?
That's kind of cool. Let's see. I'm trying to retrace my thought. Give me just a quick sec.
Sure.
The power grab between Otto and Norman. That was such a battle of wits. Like, looking at it from one of the like one of the perspective. Like, okay, so there was two moments of Norman. Like the hit. Okay, I'm getting excited again. He made a history reference after the Goblin fight that I just thought was fucking perfect. He said, "All is quiet on the Western Front," which is a reference to World War One,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the times when like there was a period of stillness. Not that there was a ceasefire, not that there was just a stillness where everyone was waiting for somebody else to make the next move, and he did that right before killing that guy. That was perfect to me. Perfect use of that line.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking cool.
But like the battle of wits between him and Otto, when he slammed the table and then Norman's like, we're gonna kill you, and then he's like, you think I'd actually come here? Like, I'm smarter than you. You should know I've been doing this longer than you.
Right.
And then he's like, "Oh, really? Okay." And then he attacks his base. Like they
Yeah.
were just constantly one-upping each other.
He's like, "Oh, you've been doing this is longer than me. Well, you forgot the number one rule: having a secret base. You moron!" Like,
Yeah, that was good.
yeah, that's absolutely perfect, honestly.
So no, those are my final thoughts.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. I don't have much more. I'm really excited to continue. I'm actually kind of sad we're getting close to the end because I've been enjoying this. So maybe we'll be grabbing more Spider-Man in the future. He's just such a fun read.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But any closing thoughts from you, Al?
Nah, I'm good, man. That was a pretty good wrap up of it.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, again, we are continuing with Spider-Man next week. Um, 28, 29, and 30. Um, if you have any suggestions for us as far as what books you'd like to hear us read about, please let us know. Um, if you're listening live with Shane, thank you. We appreciate you. If you found us on YouTube, uh, like, comment, interact with us. We'd love to talk with you. But yeah, this was Comic Book Wednesdays. I hope everyone has a good night.
See y'all.
Have a good night.